Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon. Kudrathon. Microphone.
Yes, the poll, you mean?
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Is it visible? Can you see the poll?
Yeah. So we have local project coordinators, project team members. Okay, thank you. Assalomu alaykum, hurmatli cluster seminar qatnashchilari. Good afternoon, dear project coordinators, dear project team members, the international relations officers, and our distinguished guests from the ministries and the EU delegation. We are very pleased today to see all of you for the next cluster meeting related to project management of capacity building in higher education projects. My name is Aziza Abdurrahmanova. I am the coordinator of the National Erasmus Plus office, and I will try to moderate today's cluster. On behalf of the National Erasmus Plus office, on behalf of all participants of today's event, I would like to thank our project officer from the executive agency in Brussels, Marisol Dominguez Parado. Welcome, Marisol. We are very grateful for her participation and for commitment to contribute with some significant and very relevant points to be addressed to the project coordinators and recommendations as well. Today's event will be recorded through our YouTube channel, but it's not open for all community, for university community. We will keep this video recording as a reference material, as information for the organizing the next follow-up meeting of this cluster. For more wide group of participants, it will be in local language, and we will discuss the recommendations which will be developed in the report. So we are expecting to have the output of today's meeting, the report of the cluster meeting. The working language today is English, but please feel free to write your questions in the chat box. The NEO team members, the chat manager, will communicate all questions directly and respectively to all speakers. So you have in the chat box the agenda of the meeting and background document. You will have also the opportunity to use your microphone later on. I hope that you have already get acquainted with the background document and with the statement and the methodology, with the general objectives that we initially have been defined. But thanks to the very short online survey, which will be presented later by Kudrathon, the NEO expert, our general objectives, they slightly has been changed, and in order to be more target-oriented, more needs-oriented. So we are very pleased for the speakers to be more concentrated on these specific objectives. So I will not repeat the main objectives of our today meetings, but we would like to contribute to the awareness raising on the participatory local project management, on the raising the level of local ownership. And I think that sometimes we're still confusing the project results and project impact. So let's again repeat that from the early beginning of the project, we should think about the impact at different levels, but mainly at the national level. So the project should bring an impact. So now I would like to share my screen. Um, Today, we would like to focus on curricular development projects. Why? Because out of 43 financed projects for Uzbekistan, 30 are for curricular development. So mainly concentrated on the content, on higher education content, on the curricular development, updating, development of new programs. And now, by the end of September, we'll have 21 ongoing projects, and 16 out of 21 are also the curricular development. So please take into consideration that we would like to today to concentrate on the curricular development projects, on their how they should bring the results, and to make them visible, and to achieve the results to be presented everywhere, on the website, on the documents, on the official website of the universities. So you will see that now ministry is involved, the Ministry of Higher and Secondary Specialized Education is involved in 4 ongoing projects, but in total, the ministry is involved in 13 out of 43 projects in Uzbekistan. So you see how many countries are involved, and now in total 33 universities throughout the country from 10 country regions, 14 from Tashkent and 19 from regions, they're involved in projects, cooperating with the 10 non-academic partners. I would like to repeat again. So we will have the report of this cluster meeting, and we will organize the next follow-up of this meeting from involving and inviting again the international relations officers, the accountants, so the financial department of the ministry, in order to brief them on financial management as well. So now concluding, I would like to forward our special thanks to the Ministry of Higher and Secondary Specialized Education, to EU delegation in Uzbekistan for their continued support to overall Erasmus Plus activities in Uzbekistan. And now it's my great pleasure if Mindaugas is with us already. Kudrathon? Mindaugas?
Yes, he's here. So.
Okay. So Mindaugas, so it's my great pleasure now to present you, so Mindaugas Katsirauskis, to the wide university community in Uzbekistan as a head of political, press and information section of EU delegation to Uzbekistan. So the floor is yours, please.
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Mindaugas. I am a Lithuanian diplomat. I arrived in Uzbekistan on the 1st of September. I am very new in this country, and it's my pleasure that namely academic forum, academic event like yours in the domain of higher education and namely Erasmus was one of my first public events that I'm invited to speak, and I gladly accepted. And I'm really grateful to our dear colleague Astita Abdurrahmanova, who is a very dear partner to the European Union delegation, a long time partner, that she invited me to speak. You see, although personally I am also very close to higher education, since for many years, part-time, I used to be teacher at European Humanities University in Vilnius, Lithuania, but I am not very familiar with reforms undergoing in Uzbekistan in the domain of higher education. So I will be of little asset to this conference, this meeting, to discuss the subject matter. The only thing is that I would like to convey appreciation and congratulations on behalf of European Union Ambassador Charlotte Adrian, for your work, to wish you success, and to say that the European Union stands behind Uzbekistan. The European Union, in drafting its programs for Uzbekistan, takes education, but in particular university education, higher education, as high priority. We simply need to deepen into this issue, to pay more attention, and to see what programs can be developed between the European Union and Uzbekistan with the involvement of our European Union member states. So it's a vast area of opportunities that we have to simply to sink into this sea of opportunities. I must say that European Union is at the moment elaborating its next multi-annual indicative program of assistance to Uzbekistan, and yes, education will stand among priorities. We will have very interesting things to learn and to create together. My gratitude also goes to the Uzbekistan Ministry of Higher Education and Specialized Secondary Education for its very cooperative attitude and for very cordial welcome, my welcome to Uzbekistan, and also, as I said, to the national contact point of National Erasmus Office, with which we shall continue our work. As I said, I am not extremely well familiar with the project that you will be discussing, but I would like to underline two important points that Aziza already mentioned. First is impact, not simply result or report, but impact. The money, the taxpayers' money spent on anything, first of all, are deemed for achieving certain impact on the country, on the region, on city, village, or whatever. So impact assessment is the most popular word in the European Union or Western Europe now. That's why I very much applaud this approach. Also, there is another thing that I would like to mention. It's important to strictly follow the rules of the project and to see that not only you, being your organization, your university, your whatever, enjoy the benefits and the results, but also that you spread the knowledge gained or experience gained as wide as possible in this beautiful and big country of Uzbekistan. So with this, I would like to really wish productive day for today, to have a fruitful discussion, and I look forward to personal acquaintance with you when time and epidemiological situation permits to travel throughout the country. All the best to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mindaugas, for your welcoming speech and emphasizing the most relevant points. Yes, impact is important. So everything we will speak today and discuss will be directly linked to impact, the project impact. And now it's my great pleasure to give the floor to our distinguished guests from the Ministry of Higher and Secondary Specialized Education, Yokhjon Abdullaevich Ergashev, the old friend of Tempus and Erasmus, and nobody is quite well aware of Erasmus and better understand Erasmus and supported Erasmus within the ministry is him. Marhamat, Yokhjon Abdullaevich.
Rahmat. Thank you very much for the kind words which have been expressed by the EU delegation as well as by Erasmus office in Uzbekistan. Good afternoon, dear friends, participants of today's cluster meeting. It's indeed, it's a great honor and privilege for me to speak at this forum because unfortunately, lately, not always we may have enough time to speak to the auditorium like this. although in the ministry, we're always have in mind the target to get involved in all processes taking place in Erasmus Plus projects as closely as possible. The reason for that is probably twofold. Yeah. First and foremost, the ministry is very well aware of the importance of Erasmus Plus projects for Uzbekistan universities. Needless to say that European projects have contributed in the course of many, many years greatly, not only for strengthening partnerships between European universities and universities in Uzbekistan, but also positively impacted the overall development of higher education system in Uzbekistan. Modernizing the education content and teaching methodology, in-service training of faculty staff, learning of foreign languages. This is not a complete list of privileges that we have gained by way of participating in European projects. The ministry is very much interested to have a continuous cooperation with the European Union in this sphere. We would like to see as many universities from Uzbekistan participating in this program. Many of you may know very well that the number of universities in Uzbekistan during the last 3 years has increased almost 3 times. And we would like to see newly founded universities in these projects too. I think that all mentioned above speaks in favor of the importance of today's cluster meeting. As it has already been mentioned, and the ministry may very well understand that there might be very certain rules and regulations that the project teams should follow, including, and which is very important, the financial requirements. This requires even more importance taking into account the fact that the financial regulation in our country, in Uzbekistan, during the last 3-4 years became much more liberalized, and it became much easier to get financial resources allocated for the projects right on spot. You know very well that the situation was absolutely different some 4 or 5 years ago. And now it is many things have changed for the better, I think. But of course, during the while implementing the project, we may have quite a number of problems. In terms of making these projects more effective and increasing, as it was said here, the impact of these projects for the future. Just to speak about the few, probably it is the problem of the epidemiological situation in the country now. But so far we register more of the universities from Uzbekistan traveling to European countries. We would like to see more of European universities, more of European experts coming to Uzbekistan. And I call upon my colleagues from universities of Uzbekistan to involve the experts from European universities for different kind of actions in Uzbekistan, like delivering lectures, master classes, and seminars, inviting as many teachers and professors from Uzbek universities to be involved in these projects. Of course, we still have the problem of involving as many as faculty staff as possible to these projects. Sometimes it is probably impossible because of the framework of the project. But we have the aim and the target to make these projects a privilege, not only for the project team, but for all the university, for almost all the teachers and professors who are employed in these or that universities. That will help us to make the impact more strong. And by the end of the day, of course, the problem of the results of the projects to disseminate to as many universities in Uzbekistan is also very important, and we would like to pay a special attention to this. So we may have quite a number of other problems, of course, but today's topic is, I understand, is different. That is why, to conclude, I would like to thank the organizers of this meeting, of this cluster meeting, for organizing this event. This is quite in time, and it is just the beginning of a number of projects. And to organize such an event at the very beginning is very, very important. And the financial regulations, the financial requirements of the projects is absolutely important. Yeah. Because unfortunately, in some cases, we have some information coming from the European universities that not in all projects the financial regulation, the financial requirements are in place. So that is why I would like to speak to my colleagues at the Uzbek universities to pay attention to this problem as much as possible, so that we could have useful and very successful projects in future. Thank you very much. I'm available to answer your questions if there are questions. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Many thanks, and I think we are really expecting of such a speech from the ministry for a long time. So very much appreciated, especially emphasizing the dissemination of project results and the importance of the local ownership, and in particular the improving the capacity of the universities, not only the academic capacity, but also the project management capacity of our universities. And very, very high importance of the topic of the today's meeting, and I think that the ministry will come again with their continued support in organizing the follow-up for bigger auditory involving the newcomers, so the newcomers should also be aware of the project management rules and procedures and the priorities defined by the ministry. Thank you very much again, Yakupjon Abdullaevich. And if there is also already questions coming and to ministry, to EU delegation, so we can open, give the floor to the, or we can proceed with the next, just 2 slides to be presented by the expert, by the National Erasmus Plus Office expert Kudrathon Bahadirov, presenting our survey. The survey was organized in order to be more focused on the needs. Marhamat Kudrathon.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much for providing the floor. So first of all, I would like to thank the participants, especially the project members who delivered their answers for the questionnaire. So I hope you can see on the screen one of the main questions, which is what challenges have you encountered related to overall project management? And you can see one of the main challenges was the equipment procurement. So as Karim mentioned, our cluster meeting is focusing mainly on curricular development projects, and we are going to discuss the main challenges in implementation of those projects. So another main challenge was the financial issues during implementation of the projects. So our project management from the EACA, the Marisol Dominguez will provide main aspects in this issue. And the following challenge was the communication with partners, and then follows the relations with university, with administration and ministry. So then on the list you can see different challenges. I will not stop in order to keep our time. So I will switch to another question, which is related to the financial issues. So you can see the main financial challenge during the financial management. So on the list, receiving the project budget still to the university account still being one of the main challenges, and then follows the unit cost related issues, which is main requirement in financial management by the project rules. So then goes the reallocation between budget headings, which is mainly raised by the end of the project in order to spend the rest of the budget at the end of the project. Then goes different issues. Thank you very much. So I think I have shared the main two questions. Then we will follow the others during the presentations. Thank you.
Ahmed. Thank you very much, Kudrathon, for your contribution. I think it's only 2 results. So all results of the survey will be included and presented in our cluster meeting report. So we can share later on and discuss. And now it's my pleasure to give the floor to our project officer from Brussels, the executive agency, Marisol Dominguez Parado. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Aziza. Thank you very much for inviting me to this meeting. I would like to thank you and all your team for the organization. And I would like also to mention that it is very important what has been mentioned before my intervention, by the representative from the EU delegation, the importance of the impact and giving more visibility to the results of the project and to questions related to dissemination. And I would like to thank you also the commitment. It is very, very important to see the commitment from the Ministry of Education concerning the importance that the ministry gave to the program and their interest to participate, to further participate in the future. As the representative from the ministry said, Mr. Irgashev, the financial issues are very, very, very important for the good management of the project and the good execution of the budget. And I would like to focus my presentation today on budget management issues. Please, next slide. Yes, before starting with the financial part of my presentation, I would like to give a first recommendation to all the projects and to all the partners that should be, before implementing your project, you should be very aware of the recommendations given by the agency, by the EACA. Your proposal had an assessment and some comments were given and provided to the coordinator, and the coordinator should share with you these results from the evaluation, because these recommendations are very important, because they deal with aspects that should be reconsidered to improve the results of your project and the implementation of your project. So my second recommendation also should be to have a copy of the application form. That seems to be evident, obvious, but is not always the case, because in Annex 1 of the grant agreement, you have all the outputs and all the results that are expected from your project. They are clearly identified, in the application form also, which is the Annex 1 of the grant agreement. You can see the detailed project description where your project is very well described. And you should pay particular attention to the logical framework matrix, where the indicators of progress are mentioned, and to the part 8, the work packages, where the expected deliverables and results and outcomes are described. So it is very important before starting the implementation of the project to be sure of what are expected from you and what are your commitments when signing the mandate letter and when signing the partnership agreements. Next slide, please. Yes, I would like to speak now about the partnership agreement. That is a very important document signed by both the project coordinator and every partner, and that is submitted to the EAKEA 6 months after the signature of the bilateral grant agreement signed with the coordinator. The model provided by the agency can be modified and should be modified in case you need it. We only give a template that indicates the area that should be covered, but it is up to you and it is up to the consortium to decide if it is not clearly drafted and to change the wording in the way that you better understand what are your commitments and what are your needs. You can also change the language of the partnership. You can translate the partnership agreements. The partnership agreement should also be discussed between the partners, because the content is very important, because you are committed to the content of the partnership agreements. So that should be agreed among the partners and with the coordinator, of course. Another thing in the partnership agreement important is that institutional bank account should be used. I will come to this later on in my presentation, the importance of using institutional bank accounts instead of private accounts. Concerning the staff costs, they must be transferred to each partner, but for travel costs, you have the flexibility, of course, that can be either transferred to the partners, either centralized in the way you find better suits the needs of the consortium. So that should be clearly specified also in the partnership agreement, and clearly specifying how each heading is going to be managed. Bilateral sessions should be used in case you need them to see the content and to discuss on the content of the agreement. Maybe that is a bit late for all of you because your projects are already started, but that should be an advice for project starting. That is very important, what is mentioned in this slide. There is one consortium, one responsibility, and one accountability. So Article 3 of the partnership agreement specifically points out that the joint responsibility for a proper implementation of the project work program. And that is in the Annex 1 of the grant agreement. So next slide, please. So now I will start with the presentation of the financial part. And I would like to remind you, first of all, that it is not allowed in the rules of the program to go beyond 10% of budget headings, to change more than 10% per budget heading without asking the authorization of EAKEA. These changes have to be in case you need to change the budget. The changes have to be requested by the project coordinator to the agency, and we have to analyze the reasons provided by the consortium and check if the ceilings are not exceeded. As you must know, there are ceilings concerning the staff cost. Is 40% of the global budget. For the equipment, it should be 30% of the global budget, and for subcontracting, 10%. So once these explanations have been provided and the reasons have been explained to the agency, we have to decide together if the change can be accepted in the way they are requested, or something else can be proposed in the way of better using your budget according to the needs of the project and to the needs of the activities that are going to be developed. I would like also to mention one important thing here is that all expenses concerning equipment and subcontracting that were not included in the application form have to be approved by the agency, because we find some cases where there are extra expenses that were not approved, and they can become ineligible when assessing the final report. Also, all the modifications transforming the substance and the content of the project need the prior authorization of the agency. Next slide, please. Yes, as I mentioned before, transfers to personal accounts are strictly forbidden, and the use of institutional accounts is mandatory. That is important that in the case, for example, what happens if your project is considered that it had a weak implementation? If at the moment of analyzing the final report, we discover that the objectives of the project and the expected results are mentioned in the Annex 1 of your grant agreement are not achieved, penalties should be applied. And penalties can go from 25% till 75% of the total budget, according to the score received. In case of weak implementation, who is accountable for reimbursing the amounts claimed by the Commission if the money has been transferred to personal accounts? So that is, as you can see, that is a very important issue. So concerning staff cost, also I would like to mention that the maximum that you can charge to the project is 220 working days per person and per year, with the compliance of the national rules. Next slide, please. Yes, in the next 3 slides, I would like to talk about the purchase of equipment. That is a very, very important issue, and that takes a very important part of your budget, and that should be very clear since the beginning, that we are respecting the rules of the program. So according to the rules, equipment is instrumental to project activities and should be purchased preferably during the first part of the project, and not later than 12 months before the end of the project. The reason is obviously to allow the use of equipment during the implementation of the project and not after the implementation of the project, but to make the best use of the equipment. So during the outbreak of the pandemic, we had many problems with the purchase of equipment because many providers and universities were closed, and there were also some shortages on the supply of equipment. So we are aware of this. So some projects have been delayed for this. Of course, there is a clear justification for that, but this is not the case anymore. And consider considering that the procedure for the acquisition of equipment should be very long in some cases, and that the rules might differ from country to country. So the procedure should be planned in advance and should be started at the beginning of the project implementation. Here, the National Erasmus Office can play a very important role. It can be very helpful at this stage because the agency knows very well the national legislation and the rules that apply for customs clearance and other official requirements. So next slide, please. Yes, a change in the list of equipment must be authorized by the agency, as I mentioned before. Otherwise, they could be considered ineligible at the moment of analyzing the final report, and that is not very nice for anyone. And the purchase of late equipment without authorization would also be considered ineligible. You cannot spend money from equipment because you had some money left, but it was not planned. So that's not the way that the program functions. And a very important thing here also I would like to mention is that with the pandemic, a lot of digital platforms have been created, and they should be integrally transferred to the partner countries' higher education institutions, including the hosting servers. They shouldn't remain in the program countries' universities. Next slide, please. Please, next. Yes. So we expect that tendering procedures for equipment purchase are carried out by partner countries' higher education institutions. Tendering procedures carried out by European partners are more expensive due to the higher staff costs associated. And in addition, we aim to build capacities of partner countries, higher education institutions in all domains, not only curriculum content and teaching the methodologies, but also administrative areas, planning, etc. And as Isa mentioned before, it is very important to increase the project management capacities of the universities in the partner countries. The purchase should occur also in the partner countries. On the one hand, that facilitates the maintenance of the equipment purchase, and on the other, the investment contributes to the development of the economic growth of the countries. We strongly recommend also, when possible, to organize joint tenders for equipment purchase in order to ensure that competitive prices and the most cost-efficient use of European Union grants. This is already a good practice, quite common at national level, and many universities already do in this way. One university is responsible for organizing the tender on behalf of the other universities in the country. So also, I would like to mention here that it is not allowed to split the purchase of equipment in smaller lots in order to avoid a transparent tendering procedure. Equipment of the same kind should be bought together. And another important thing here I would like also to mention, which have problems at the end of the project, because it is not well justified where the equipment is stored, is that the equipment should be recorded in the inventory of the institutions where it is installed. We often see inventories that are not really inventories. An inventory cannot be a paper signed by the professor that ordered the purchase of the equipment. It has to be an official document from the university with the signature of the management of the university and complying the rules of the university. And sometimes this is not evident in the supporting documents that we receive with the final report. Next slide, please. Concerning subcontracting, the last part of my presentation, I would like to mention that values between 25,000 and 134,000 or 144,000, depending on the call. If the values are bigger than this, you have to launch a tendering procedure and obtain at least competitive offers from at least 3 suppliers. You have to retain the offer providing the best value for money, observing the principles of transparency and equal treatment, and avoiding conflicts of interest. For the purpose of the final financial evaluation or audit, you should retain with the project account the following supporting documents, because they are required at the moment of the final report and should also be required in case of audit. These are the invoices and bank statements of all purchased equipment. Please note that the forms, pro forma invoices, quotations, estimates are not considered a proof of expenditure. You need an invoice. The documentation of the tendering procedure and the 3 quotations should be also kept with the accounting documents, and proof that the equipment is recorded in the inventory of the institution. And this is very important, the bank statements showing that the payments have been made. In case you claim for VAT in the financial statement, you should also provide justification, a legal document saying that the VAT cannot be recovered by the institution. Well, I think I have come to the end of my presentation. I give now the floor to you in case you have to ask me any question that or something that is not clear from my presentation, or anything that I didn't explain. And in case there are 2 specific questions, I will transmit it to my financial colleagues, but I will reply to you in case I can reply. And I would like to thank you very much, you, for your attention. And please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Marisol, for your presentation, detailed and emphasizing the points relevant to the results of our survey. Actually, you were quite flexible to reorient your presentation and to make such a very useful and target-oriented. And now, please, the microphones can be switched on, and our participants can benefit of asking questions directly to you. If not, we can continue and open a discussion after the next 2 presentations. So let's see. Is anybody? Marhamat? Okay, so we will follow the initial plan. So the floor is now going the turn Kudrathon, and he would also reorient his initial presentation on the needs of the audience. And then we have also a very good opportunity to listen to our first ever grant holder in Uzbekistan, Habibullah Nasirov. And we also initially planned that he can share the advantages of being the grant holder in Uzbekistan, or maybe disadvantages. And so let's see. Marhamat Kudrathon, and now the presentation from Kudrathon as an expert who is responsible for the field monitoring visits and of capacity building projects.
Thank you. So this presentation is based on the field monitoring visits to capacity building and the Tempus projects, based on the conclusions and recommendations. So it has the recommendation character to our projects. So you can see on the screen the content of this presentation. So first we will have a chance to see what challenges our teams have at implementation stage. Then we go to the organizational part, which is project events and the mobility, then sustainability issues, and of course we can touch the financial issues a little bit as soon as our colleague has already explained main points, and then participatory project management issues will be revised. So during the implementation phase, there are several moments which we are going to tackle. So you can see the first of one of the main problems at the teams, the lack of experience and the knowledge in project management, which directly related to the coordinator. We are happy that there are several project coordinators who have enough experience and knowledge, but there are still coordinators who still need to improve in the work on themselves. So we suggest them to contact their colleagues or directly to our office. So then we go there is another issue is the project documentation, as it was already mentioned by Marisol. So we also recommend every team should have all the project documents on their work tables. So in order to be aware about the project and the objectives of the project. Another issue is the language, related to the language of the local team members. As we know, not all of the members are well in English, so that's why we suggest in the beginning of the project to translate the main documents, especially the proposal of the project, which should be available for each member of the team. And of course, it is useful for the administration, who will be easily able to get informed about the project and its objectives and the implementation stages. Another issue which we have met very few cases, which is related with the project management. This is some people consider that the project is their own, but we always remind that the project is institutional and the responsibility lays on the administration of each institution. So another moment should be mentioned, which produced based on previous problems, which is level of local project ownership in some cases. So we have mentioned some project members are not aware about the project objectives, and they are just there because they have to be in the meeting. So we always recommend to our project teams, in order to keep high level of ownership, continuously keep your team members informed about the project and its progress. So then follows the lack of information activity. So it also the result of low ownership. Then another main point is sustainability of the project. results. So we always recommend to think in the beginning about the sustainability of the project and its results. And even there is a part that we check if each project has their business plan for sustainability of their project results. But we have met several times, so they left this question to the end of the project, and they are going to think about it by the end of the project. And if we refer to the survey, we have seen not all of the institutions are happy with their administrations regarding the project management. I think this issue can be fixed by the local teams. So probably the local administration is not aware about the project and its objectives. So as soon as they get full package of information, so hopefully every problem can be solved. So another moment goes to the recommendations of the National Erasmus Plus office. After each monitoring, usually we send the recommendations to the project coordinator and the team members. So in some cases, the recommendations are not considered during the project implementation, but not always. So we strongly recommend to discuss a bit among the project team members and take your decision in order to apply the recommendations in implementation of your projects. Then goes, as you're aware, that we have a team of higher education reform experts who are well experienced in higher education system of Europe and at local system. So they are always happy to help in solving any project issues, especially in the curricular development, as they are well informed about the Bologna process and all the elements of this document. Then goes the equipment purchase issue. So already Marisol have stopped on this issue, so I would like to repeat again. We always ask them to start the procurement of the equipment in the beginning of the project in order to ensure that the project will be used for the project objectives and during implementing the tasks of the project. So then we switch to the project events and the mobility. Main part of the biggest, one of the big part of the project is the events and the mobility of staff in order to build capacity of the project staff. So you can see in the list, the first is pandemic situation. So we would like to ask our project coordinators be aware about the related documentation which is published on the EACA website and of local rules regarding the pandemic situation, which will help you to proper management to manage your project. And another thing is when you organize the project events, we always ask to invite the main stakeholders of the project. In some cases, we can see only the project team members are in the event, but main stakeholders are not aware about the project, which is directly related to the good sustainability of the project. So that's why we always recommend them to keep informed the main stakeholders about the project and its activities. So in the next message, we would like to mention the international relations offices should be closely communicated to the project. So I think this is the task of the project team to be to keep informed the office in order that during mobility or other project events, so they can help them easily communicate the related ministries and their presence in the project. Local events, when it's organized, we mentioned several times, so delay with invitations, and in this case some events were not well organized. Especially another point is you can see the professional interpretation. So considering the main auditory is not well in English, or the European partners are invited, the professional interpretation should be in the project, which is considered during the proposal writing of the project. So it should not be forgotten about the interpretation. Then goes the regarding the mobility participants. It should the members of the mobility should be selected based on the project objectives, but not for tourism or other aims. So then, considering the pandemic situation for the last more than a year, very little number of mobilities have been organized. So we hope soon the mobilities will be started, and training visits should be organized well, and the ministry members should be informed in advance, which is dependent from the international relations offices, of course, from the project team, who is working in close cooperation with this office. Then goes the after project completion. As you know, we organize the impact monitoring as well, and based on our studies, we can recommend the following points. So sustainability is problematic, as in some cases. So we can see not all of the project members think in the beginning of the project. Then goes the results of the project are not used for some already planned points. So it should be already working during the project financial period. So training courses for professionals stopped, which means as soon as the project stops, so the capacity building activities also stopped. And the point which is, I think it's difficult to control, the project team members left to other places. So probably it can also be controlled by the administration and other members of the institution. So, and the partnership with other partners of the consortium, the European members and the Central Asian members in the other part of the world, they have good communication opportunities, but because of the low ownership, in some cases, the established links are cut, and no anymore communication is kept for further cooperation. Another problem is related with the project equipment. In some cases, the equipment used for other purposes, because the project activities are stopped and the equipment is used for something else. So that's why we suggest, again, recommend to clearly organize the equipment list, and should work for whole life for the objectives of the project. And the last but not least, the project website should be more, how to say, not to stop operating as soon as the project ends. And usually project website hunters, they buy the hosting name and use for other purposes, which is not good for all the project members, and for the project as well, and for the institutions as well. So that's why we suggest ensure the life of the project website at least 5 or 6 years, from the beginning of the project as soon as they launch of the website. And the financial issues, we have left only 2 points. So we ask them to check always rules and guidelines, and the experience on the international level. Of course, to be informed always about the local change, because a lot of reforms are being done in our country as well. So that's why in one of our previous recommendations, we have asked to include accountants into the team of project teams, so they should be aware about the financial issues. So then the last part, as it was presented in the content, so participatory project management. In this case, we always ask our team members to make decision based on the project team members meetings, and not only one individual made the decision. And always ask them to remind them that the project is flexible. So if they need some changes, it is possible, but in advance they should contact to their manager, in our case Marisol, or if it is allowed by the guides, so they can do this change by themselves. Okay, in some cases, until the end, until some the problems are not raised among themselves, even they do not contact the NEO, and then after in such a point, so it is not possible to solve the problem, they just ask about the solution. So that's why if you see any small problem, or you just you can see that you can have some problem in the future, just consult with us or with your manager, and then it would be easier to solve in the beginning of the project's implementation. So, and of course, the recent developments in higher education should be studied by all of our teams, especially by the coordinators, in order to keep the project's well implementation. I think I have said all the points. So, and our contacts, so you can easily contact us. Karina, please.
Kudrathon, thank you very much for your detailed presentation. I think the topic is quite wide, and it's impossible to present for 20 minutes. So I think we should have some offline, longer or 2 days project management training to be organized not only for the projects, but for the newcomers as well. It will help them, so newcomers, to develop high quality project proposals. Maybe just 2 points to be mentioned in order to give the floor to the next speaker. So I think that one of the one of the conclusions of our national impact study was that now, currently in Uzbekistan, in the university community, we have quite big pool of experts with a good capacity in project management and international cooperation. And I think that we have people and teams who are able to develop high quality project proposals based on local needs, respecting the local rules. And I think we should provide more support for the extending this pool of experts. And it will be one of the strategic aims of the National Erasmus Plus Office for the next years. Then I would like to draw your attention to the background paper that we prepared for this meeting, with a reference to a regional report analyzing the first generation of Erasmus Plus capacity building project by the agency. generation of 2015 projects. So the selection of round 1. And you will find some practical recommendations in this paper. The second one, I think, very interesting because you, the project coordinators, the university people, you've been directly involved in the regional cluster meeting, which was organized by the National Erasmus Plus office in Uzbekistan online last November in Tashkent. And the report is quite interesting. Please find your time and look through the reports, and specifically on recommendation related to institutions, to project teams, to coordinators, to university administrations, and to the ministry as well. Now we are very pleased that Habibullah Nasirov with us, the first ever grant holder in Uzbekistan, and he also prepared very detailed presentation, but we have discussed, and we would like to concentrate on more demanded, so equipment procurement procedure. So what kind of challenges, difficulties, problems he faced for organizing the tender according to the national guidelines and national procedures. Habibullah, Marhamat, the floor is yours, please. Is he with us? Okay.
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for giving this chance to say our visions and our experience and share with our challenges what we gained with the being of the grant holder. And let me share my screen. And I will turn off my video. Okay, sorry for the voices. And okay, let me start. My topic is advantages of the capacity building, grant holders' role in the Uzbekistan, and challenges faced. First of all, let me say about our project. This is a project is the first in Uzbekistan, and it is a very big opportunity to gain experience and make everything to be done within the project to be the same with a proposal and make and achieve very good results. So our project, which is first in Uzbekistan, is called SpaceCom. It is new study program in space systems and communications engineering. We have here 14 members. So we are from Germany, Belgium, Bulgaria, France, and Uzbekistan. Also, we have here 4 EU universities and 6 Uzbekistan universities. Also, we have 4 non-academic partners. From 2 of them are European and 2 from Uzbekistan. And also, I'd like to add that this project is started in 2019 and it's going to be end to 2022. But I hope we'll make and we'll ask IKEA to prolong it. And also the budget is almost 1 million euro. It is 998,997 euros. Here is one of the main points is purchasing of equipment, which costs 282,000 euros. This is for 6 universities. As Kudrathon told that this could be not only ours, but this is for university, and not only even university, but for future specialists, which would be prepared with using this kind of laboratory works and preparing with the syllabi, which is built with help of our European partners. And okay, I will pass this because you can all see this all in our project website. I would like to speak about the SWOT analysis, which we made a little, that for being a grant holding program country. So this is the first time in Uzbekistan. So strengths, I can say that possibility of forwarding the project to the national interest would be very easy because you are the coordinator and you know all the rules of Uzbekistan or your program country, and it would be very nice and very good to focus on the interest of the national. And also it would be I can say that project management would gain very good results because this kind of big projects will help us to work on a team and to gain opportunities and gain the experience of being in a huge group and being a coordinator of it. And weaknesses is overall, it was also taught that lack of qualified staff is not so good, and we are preparing and we are widening of our groups, and we are involving young scientists, also the people who are good in science or in other directions. We are helping them to learn English, and we are gathering them together. And this is the same, which is the next one, the language barrier, because in Uzbekistan it is started with our new president that all graduates have to know at least 2 foreign languages to focus, because in the guideline we have everything which should be
sorry for interrupting. Sorry for interrupting, Habibullah. It seems that the line is not good, so unacceptable to listen to him. It's a great pity. I think what we can decide, we can request him to make a video of his presentation that we will share later on. What do you think? I think now, so it's impossible to continue and to listen to his presentation. It's a great pity, but he's really...
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
Habibullah?
I'm sorry for the internet connection.
Habibullah?
Yes.
Please just let me repeat what we have already agreed. It seems that the line is not good. I mean, your internet connection at the Tashkent University of Information Technologies. It's a pity. But what we would like to have from you that later on to have your video with the more detailed one to be disseminated, dispatched to all meeting participants so they can benefit of this. Actually, we are very proud of Habibullah because his capacity to be the project coordinator has considerably increased during the short time. And we hope that such an opportunity will be extended to other universities and We would like to thank the executive agency for their commitment to provide such opportunity for the universities of Uzbekistan to be grant holders. I think there are so many advantages, and it's definitely to ensure the local ownership. Of course, we should admit that there are a number of challenges faced by first ever coordinators, but it was said already by John Abdullaevich that nobody expected to have such a liberalization and positive changes in overall university management 5 years ago. But there are so many positive changes, and we should benefit of them. So there is opportunity to be grant holder, and more grant holders should come from the universities of Uzbekistan. Should we now open the questions and answers session? Please, if anybody has questions to speakers, to Marisol in particular, please go ahead. The microphones can be switched on. Marhamat. It seems that our project coordinators, so the majority of participants, they are project coordinators. Do we have the question in? Yes, we have questions, and I can read it from the chat. Marisol, to you. Due to pandemic, travel restriction is still ongoing in some countries. Is it possible to increase budget for purchase equipment or lab? More than 10% of default budget for equipment. I kindly suggest to allocate money on purchasing equipment by decreasing the budget for travel. Please, Marisol, could you please answer? You can, yeah.
Okay. I was muted. Yes, increase of equipment more than 10% is not allowed by the rules of the program. Increase of the 10% is quite a lot of money. I mean, most of the project it's not 10%. You are talking about 30%. It's 30% of the total budget that was not allowed to go beyond. But to increase the 10% of the equipment is allowed, because some prices are higher now than some months ago. That could happen, that the budget that you have allocated for equipment is increased. We have this problem now with, for example, with the purchase of some IT-related equipment that has been increased. So up to 10% is allowed if justified. You justify that the prices has been increased, or that you need to buy something that you didn't have because of the pandemic. You have to move to online courses, for example, and you need to buy, I don't know, special equipment for online courses, but that should be explained, and usually we give the authorization for this kind of changes. But what is not allowed is to go beyond the 30% of the total amount, because 30% is a big amount. Most of the projects never go up to 30% of the budget allocation. So yes, in any case, we have to study the situation and the needs of the project, and that should be explained and discussed. No problem.
Okay. Thank you for your answer, for detailed answer. I think that everybody should be clear with this rule. So there is flexibility within the 10% within the budget headings, but by any case, they should be quite properly justified and agreed with the agency. I think it's good advice to have some communication with the respective project officer on specific issues. So we will have relevant correspondence and clarifications.
Yes, but all the communication should be channeled through the project coordinator.
Yes, through the project coordinator, grant holder, definitely.
Yeah. But we also try to make the best use of the budget and to adapt the budget to the needs of the project. This is the most sensitive thing to do.
So we are waiting for other questions, please. So they're still coming, and I would like just to clarify, Marisol, that the universities that are really suffered of the pandemic situation and a long delay occurred with the project equipment purchase. And some of them, they didn't expect that now, according to the changed rules, the equipment preferably and specifically should be preceded by local universities. So it's not like in the past, equipment was purchased in Europe and then delivered to Uzbekistan. So now preference, and it's clear, should go to the purchase to be organized here on the spot in Uzbekistan.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Marhamat, Habibullah. Habibullah. So.
But I never found in my project in the late, maybe some years ago, but in Tempus. But now in all my projects, most of them equipment is purchased in the countries. It is acquired in the country.
Yeah, so maybe it's for clarifying that you just recently started with Uzbekistan. In the past, it was impossible to get money to use the university bank account. So
yes,
majority of the projects, not majority, but all projects with involvement of the universities of Uzbekistan, they were, the money was managed, the budget allocated for Uzbekistan was managed by European partners. So they, yeah.
But that is a problem of institutional accounts. That's why it's so important to allow the project to open institutional accounts to manage their budget, so they can manage directly without centralization.
So it's apologize coming from Habibullah for bad internet connection. And I suggest all the coordinators to ask Marisol for any questions. She always gives good advices. Okay. Interesting.
Sorry, may I add something? I don't know where I was interrupted by the internet, but I wanted to say that even I was talked with my rector a lot of times, and while we are increasing the projects, international projects, I think it is better, we should start to opening the international project management groups in all university. In that case, would be very good to work because I know in our colleagues in Europe, they have such kind of groups who are helping to the scientific persons and professors to work on the project and focus on the project, not in the, how to say, on documents, and the project is going very well and very fruitful. And I hope we will open this kind of the group in our university, and I will share our experience with others. and I hope it would be very fruitful. Thank you. I was just wanted to add this.
Thank you very much, Habibullah, because you reminded me about one of the recommendations written in our report, National Impact Study report. So one of the recommendations at the institutional level addressed to university administration is that project offices based on the tandems of the International Relations Department, departments, innovation centers, and other responsible and experienced people can be created in each university in order to provide the newcomers and the ongoing projects with the proper advice and expertise. I think it's very good. Thank you. And I refer to this output, to the National Impact Study, where you can find some good advices and recommendations at individual, institutional, and national level. Rahmat Khabulajan. So do we have questions coming? Because we have a number of people from the regions. Malahat Khan, do you have any questions?
Yes, I have some questions. One question regarding to subcontracting. We have some in the project printing works, for example, for newsletters, for brochures, assigned to subcontracting. Can we provide this work to our institute, printing house, not for subcontracting, or we have to make subcontracting?
But I don't understand. It was planned, it was already foreseen on your budget? This
Yes.
But you want to pay it with own cost, own funding, or I don't understand the question. Because you cannot charge an invoice from your organization. I don't understand how you want to use this money. So I don't understand the question, sorry.
O'zbekcha bersam bo'ladimi savolni?
Marhamat.
Mana subcontracting anaqalari bor deb print anaqa распечатка qilish uchun newsletterlarni, broshuralarni subcontractingga ajratilgan. Bizning institutimizda o'zimizda anaqa bor. Tipografiyamiz. Shunga yuklasak bo'ladimi shu ishlarni? Tipografiya, institut tipografiyasiga.
Yo'q, bo'lmaydi. Chunki только что Марисоль вам ответила. Вы не можете организовать инвойс от своего университета самому себе. То есть внутри себя. Subcontracting подразумевает внешнюю организацию.
Да. Внешняя организация. Но у нас есть
свои... Yes, Marisol, you properly understood. There is the printing house attached to university or under the umbrella of the university, and they would like to establish subcontract with this printing house. Would it be possible to charge this printing house from out of the project budget based on subcontract?
Okay, but this printer house belongs to the university.
Belongs to university.
So I should ask, because this is very specific. Usually when it is made in-house, it is not subcontracting, it's own funds, general cost. It is considered general cost of the project. Subcontracting also always implies a third part. It's externalized. So this particular case, I should consult with my colleagues, financial colleagues, if we accept that a university can use
to establish subcontract with his structure, with the part of his structure.
I had never had this case.
I think it would be impossible because it should be external one. But by any case, it would be better, it would be feasible to have a specific communication on this issue. Please address again in written this request for clarification, Malokhathon, and you will get the clear answer.
Yeah, I would be very surprised that that could be accepted, because usually subcontracting means a third part that is externalized. But in case it is internal, that should be assumed as own cost or co-funding. But anyway, please send the question to the coordinator, and the coordinator will give more details to me, and I will ask the question to my colleagues.
Yes, again, it should be repeated. So all communication should go through the coordinators. So it would.
Yes, that is a rule, an important rule. Otherwise, it would be impossible, because we have too many projects, and to deal with all that from a communication point of view is not very efficient. So all communication should be channeled through the coordinator.
Okay, there is the question coming in the chat. Umidahon Marhamat. Oh, Iroda, please read and translate. Kudrathon.
Okay, there is a question regarding the bank account. According to the new degree, so the bank account of universities have changed from bank to Ghaznachilik. How to translate? Ghaznachiyство?
It's treasure chamber.
So
chamber of treasure.
Account switched to treasure chamber, and they cannot get signature and stamp from them. How can we deal with that? So
let me explain this case. So possibly you've got already such questions, Marisol, from Uzbekistan, but there is already answer and clarifications from our other local coordinators who have already this challenge and they manage. So now all university bank accounts, they're connected with the Chamber of Treasure. So all approvals should go through for the purchase and for the expenses should come from this казначейство. I think that we will include this question to our report, and the proper answer you will get with the explanations in our report. Okay? May I ask you a question, Marisol? So
yes.
My concern always going to the visibility of the projects, and that Kudrathon mentioned that website of some projects are not operational just after the half a year of the project completion. If there is a plan in the initial application for the website to be managed, to be developed by the European universities, is there any possibility? We have such a cases, but is it supported by the agency that the website, project website, should be developed and administrated by the local universities? What do you think, and what do you recommend?
It is even advised and recommended by the agency that most of dissemination activities should be organized in the partner countries, and that includes the website of the project. So in some projects. Some of them are approved without this, but of course, because they are good projects, but in the work plan, they were planning to that one European partner would be responsible for the management of the website, for the updating and the management of the website. But we always recommend that dissemination activities should be better organized within the partner countries.
Okay.
Of course,
Okay.
and that
Yes.
includes, of course, the development of the website.
Mhm. And again, focusing on the curricular development projects with this cluster meeting, we will develop and already knows one of the potential recommendations, which has been already done by the agency several times. So the curricula developed, updated, changed, reorganized by the project should be visible and presented not only on the project website, it's must be done, but also on the each website of the involved universities.
Yes.
But in majority cases now, so we analyzed the university websites, we could not find any reference to the project and project activities and the project results that contributed to the curriculum modernization or curricular updating or completely new curricula developed by the project. Please pay attention to this one.
Yes,
Now,
this is very important. And
yeah.
Kudrathon was mentioning that before, that depends on the ownership also that the universities have of the project.
Mhm.
So many universities are not sufficiently involved at institutional level, and the project remains the domain of some persons in the university, some teachers. So this is the problem of many projects, that they don't reach the institutional level. They remain at the impact remains only at personal level, the level of the staff involved, the teachers that are trained, but it not arrive to the institution itself.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you very much for your clarifications. And now I see one of the questions in the chat. The Center for Development of Professional Education. The professional qualification of medical personnel, legal successor of the Tashkent Institute of Postgraduate Medical Education. Can our center participate in Erasmus project as a full-fledged partner?
Well, it depends if they have their legal status. Do they have legal representative? It's an autonomous institution, or are they allowed to sign contracts? So it does depend on the status they have.
Okay, but now it takes time to clarify. But there is the questions about full-fledged partners, which means can they benefit?
Beneficiary.
Yes, beneficiary like university, but now they are Center for Development of Professional Qualifications. So can they be a full-fledged partner within the project? This is the questions. Munira Sadjan, I think that it would be nice to have this written answer and clarification later on, okay? It's quite difficult for Marisol to realize the status of your center now and to answer to your question. So we will definitely reply to this question, Marisol, later.
Yes, I don't know if it is an organization that has the status of legal representative, and it's the capacity. Has he the capacity to sign contracts, or it depends from another institution?
No, it's independent structure. This is the under the Ministry of Health, the center, but they do not have bachelor and master degree. They have master degree, but they do not have bachelor, which means that they are not higher education institutions, but they would like to be a full-fledged partner like higher education institution.
So it depends on the Erasmus card if they are considered higher education or not. They have to submit the request to the REA with to ask for a PIC, and they will study what is their status.
They have a PIC. They are the partners, but they are not universities. So they wrote an official letter. So now there is an answer from Marisol. You should write a request to REA, to the agency in Brussels, which register and provides and approves the PICs, participant identification code. Is it correct?
Yes, I can also answer to the question if I can ask the question to my colleagues from REA, but it depends on the status they give to them when receiving all the documents that they have to send, to submit.
Okay, unfortunately, at this moment, I have to stop this discussion because it's not related to our topic, to the project management. I think that what we should do, we again repeat or find this letter and to readdress it to Brussels in order to have clarifications. Any questions related to project management, please? So one of the experienced coordinators in Uzbekistan, Ilhamjon Abdurrahmanov, he is with us. Could you please share your experience? What kind of challenges have you faced during the managing the projects? Rahmat Ilhamjon.
Yeah, hello everyone. Good to see you, Marisol. Thank you very much for your presentation. It was very helpful for us. Well, we have recently finished our project Erasmus Plus Gingis. So I think it was successful, and I think we reached all the goals which we put beginning of the project. One of the challenges was this purchasing equipment on time. Because of this, you have already mentioned that because of COVID situation, that some organizations didn't work offline, and also some problems on the border and so on. We were late a bit, but we could buy the equipment which was on our list on time, because we have received the extension 6 months in Gingis project. So this was one of the challenges. And also, because of COVID, actually in our project, it was planned 15 PhD students should travel to EU for 2 months each. And we have used 8 of them, but 7 of them couldn't travel and couldn't participate offline. That's why we had to organize this training PhD study online with our EU partner universities. And later we have asked this to use this budget for this travel and cost of stay to buy the equipment, but at that time we were late. Because of these rules of the agency. I can say that we couldn't use those money which was dedicated for travel costs and the cost of stay for PhD students. But of course,
Yes.
it was for a good experience for us. And next time, I think we will plan on behalf before facing such kind of challenges, problems, and I hope we will solve. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Ilhamjan.
Ilham. Very interesting, because I know very well your project. Yes, the problem was that grants to participants in training are not allowed in this program. So the participants in training cannot have grants. They can have paid the cost of stay and cost of travel, but not receive money for traveling. They cannot have double funding. I mean, they cannot receive a grant if they are paid the cost of stay and the cost of travel. So that is one thing. Another thing I would like to ask you is, are there still students enrolled for 2021 in the doctorate studies? Because I received information from what happened until the final report was submitted, but not about the new year. So I am very interested on this, because I find this project a very good project, and a project that could have a very good impact on the field in the country. And I would like to know about the sustainability of the implementation of these doctoral studies, because one of the universities had not been able to implement the doctorate so far. And what is the situation now? Could you tell something else about the?
Yeah, thank you very much for your really important question, Marisol. We were lucky that our administration of university could help during the project implementation. Yeah, and that's why actually we planned to open this new specialty, doctoral PhD specialty in Uzbekistan, geoinformatics, and we could open this new specialty in the beginning of the project. Yeah, and at Tiame we started, and afterwards other partners, National University of Uzbekistan, Tashkent Architecture, and Samarkand as well, they could open, but only the Karakalpak State University couldn't open during the project lifetime, because they couldn't open the master level in geoinformatics. But this year, all the universities, all the partner universities requested for the quota for geoinformatics PhD program. Now we are waiting for the answer from the ministry. Actually, each year the admission process starting from the 15th of September until 15th of October. The submitting documents by the candidates for PhD program. It's not announced yet for this year. We are waiting for from the ministry the answer. Yeah, and but yeah, and of course, and one of the success of our project that during the project lifetime, one candidate who is Malanbek Reimov could successfully defend his PhD in geoinformatics. Yeah, with this we can say this program is accredited in Uzbekistan.
Yeah, that's good. And what about the Joint Research Center? Because that was also the equipment that was purchased very late.
Yes, it was purchased late because of some structural changes or some problems at the university. We couldn't, how to say, officially we couldn't open the center, but now I'm sitting in the center now, and very soon we are planning to open the center officially. It's open. It's now it's working, but official opening ceremony will be at the end of this month. But of course, the equipment which we purchased in this project are used by PhD students, not only PhD students, but young researchers and teachers of the departments who are related to GIS and remote sensing.
Okay.
Thank you very much for this exchange. Yes, I think it's important. It's also a justification of one of our conclusions of the national impact study, that national project has more chance to have a more great impact at the national level.
Yes.
And and thanks also to this experienced coordinators and support, the overall support of the university administration. I would like to tell you about another problem that the coordinators, specifically national coordinators, faces during their project lifetime. It's a communication within the country, the internal communication, how to consolidate the efforts of different universities, how to organize reporting, how to organize discussions, and how to organize the joint work, and the consolidated decision to be communicated on behalf of the all Uzbek partners directly to grant holder, not communicated with each partner to grant holder with his own proposal and changes. I think this is also the challenge, big challenge for Habibullah and other coordinators. I think it's the topic of the specific of the separate meeting, how to organize the management of within the country. So within the one project with at least 3 or 4 universities involved in one joint project. So we would not continue with this. Do we have any other questions in the chat, Kudrathon? No. Is anybody? Marhamat Sherzodbek Gulomov. Yes, it's one of our very good projects.
Everybody. My full name is Sherzod Gulomov. I am local coordinator of Decide project, developing service for individuals with disabilities. First of all, I would like to many thanks for Maria Sol for interesting and for usable presentation. As you remember, this year, if I'm not mistaken, in February or in March, we discussed it on the project Decide. Yeah, Maria Sol?
Yes.
There I had a presentation. So the question is regarding for subcontracting. During the project, Decide project, we developed 8 modules. 8 modules, of course, in English language. Nowadays, we are going to translate these modules in Uzbek and in Russian language. Regarding it, can we spend subcontracting for translating these modules to Uzbek and Uzbek in Russian language?
It was not foreseen in your budget?
Yep.
It was not. So I need to clarify. Subcontracting, do you have a budget allocation for subcontracting?
Yes, we have. Yes, we have 5,000. Yes, euros. Yes.
But you want to extend subcontracting, or do you want to use subcontracting in another way? I don't understand what you need exactly.
Just we want to use to translate the modules in Uzbek and Russian language.
But you need more money for subcontracting?
But how I can say it, but not yet. But it is just just I asked about this process.
No, the process should be that you have to make the request to the project coordinator, and she has to contact the agency, and to explain what are your needs. If you need to increase the subcontracting or to change the subcontracting need items, or what you need and why, and that has to be approved by the agency according to the proposal.
Okay,
But-
in this case, I will write the official letter to my coordinator, to Mrs. Angela Repanouchi, and okay, and then we will,
Yes,
discuss.
Angela
Okay.
will ask me if some changes have to be done, or you need to increase the budget for subcontracting, or you need to change the items that should be subcontracted, or what are your real needs. But please discuss this with Angela, and she will contact me.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much for these very interesting questions. And what is important, it's important for the results to be adapted, to be recognized, and to be used. That's why it's very important to have this in Uzbek language. And I think it will be very well supported by the grant holder and then by Marisol. Thank you for interesting question. Any other questions, please? Because we are running of time, we planned, and we should already close the session. Marisol, would you like to make some conclusions, some comments on today's session, on today's cluster, please?
No, my only recommendation should be that in case of doubt, or in case you don't know how to manage your project, the best thing is to, first of all, to communicate to your project coordinator or the problems you have. And if it is something related to national issues, to communicate with the NEO, with the National Erasmus Office, and they will be happy to help you and to support you, because it's a problem when the problems are not solved during the implementation of the project, and they arrive at the end of the project, at the moment of the submission of the final report, and we cannot do anything else. So it is better to avoid problems in the implementation, in the costs incurred, in order to not have ineligible costs at the end of the project. So we are flexible, but we have rules also, and we are trying to handle both, to be flexible to the needs of the beneficiaries, and to try to get the best results and to best use of the budget. But we also have some constraints. I mean, not all the things that are requested can be authorized, because the program has special rules that have to be respected. But regarding the flexibility, I think the flexibility of the implementation is quite big, and we can even discuss content issues. I mean, we are flexible in the implementation of the project, provided the results are achieved. Of course, we cannot change completely the project that has been approved. That is not possible. Otherwise, other projects should have been selection. But I think there are some degree of flexibility. But also, in case of doubt, it's better to consult. So that would be my advice.
Thank you very much, Marisol. I thank everybody, and I would like to make some conclusions. And first of all, on behalf of the meeting participants, on behalf of the National Erasmus Plus Office, I would like to thank you for your valuable time, for commitment to answer to questions. And I think the most important conclusions that the Erasmus Plus is quite flexible, and first of all should be oriented to the local needs. So it's up to the local teams to initiate any changes relevant, acceptable, and justified to be communicated to grant holder. So grant holder is the channel, is the person, is the institution which will be definitely in this communication to executive agency. By any case, I think if some clarifications needed from NEO is always ready and committed to provide necessary clarifications. Because some of the grant holders, we had such cases in the past, were quite resistant, reluctant for the changes. They would like to follow the initial applications, but the life is changing, so the developments, the higher education developments, the country needs can change. So I think the project should immediately react and according to the program rules. Thank you very much, Marisol.
Yes, Aziza, one last thing I would like to add. Sorry, I forgot before. Sometimes I find the problem that the teams are working locally. I mean, there is not connection between, for example, when there are some project from several countries, they are not working. They are not aware of what is happening on the other countries. And this is a project. We are not working on our country, on our needs only, but we need to know what the others are doing and working for the same objective. All the partners are working for the same objective. And sometimes there are projects where partners are not aware of what is happening in the other countries. So I have the impression in some projects that we have national projects, that the project is split in several countries and every country is working isolatedly. So that is not a good thing. We are here to learn from each other and to support each other. And I am sure that you can learn from the colleagues in other countries, not only European countries, but only neighboring countries, only countries that are working with you. And that is a thing that undermines the quality of the result, of the final results, because we have results at national level, but not. We don't have the the consistency that it is expected from the project. We have small results without any impact. So we are not using and taking advantage of working together in an international project. And that is a pity, because we are wasting energy and we are maybe wasting our time, because we are working, but not in the good direction. Of course, for this, it's also necessary to have a good coordination. And sometimes this is not the case. So there are other problems that can be the language problems, problems of communication. That is sure that exists, and we cannot avoid these problems. But you should be aware of the problems since the beginning and try to provide solutions. If we need to improve the English skills, maybe you can ask the coordinator to try to find a solution for that. I mean, the thing is to be engaged and to be convinced that you are working for a common goal and to achieve a general objective that is in the project and in the outcomes that are expected from your project, and not working isolatedly. I don't know if I have well explained what I wanted to say.
Thank you very much, Marisol. Yeah, thank you very much, Marisol. I think that all that points that you indicated will be transferred to our report and the people will read. What I would like to emphasize that the project objectives, results, expected results, and specific achievements, they should be repeatedly, continuously presented and discussed during the project lifetime. So I think it's the continuous need to be done during the project life, because the whole universities, all faculties should be aware of the project results, what kind of benefits they can gain from this project. And this is one of the recommendations that we will include. I think that the project coordinators will support this idea and this proposal. Concluding, I would like to thank you again, to thank the ministry representative, the EU delegation, this very, very well and good points shared by Mr. Ergashev with us, with the projects. And now there is a good opportunity for you after the meeting to have a very short survey, online survey, with evaluating of our cluster meeting and suggestion and making your choice for the topic of the next thematic cluster meeting. Please, we would be grateful for your contribution to this survey. Then I think it was again thanks should go to speakers, to Habibullah John, who will repeat and will make a video recording of his presentation, which will be shared later on. I think what has been done by Kudrathon, this is the material and the information of the one-day training on project management. And I think that everybody agree with me that good project management starts from the development of high quality, good project applications. So I think everybody should hardly work this autumn during the next call for capacity building projects to make the project of high quality with the direct involvement of our local universities. So we should work and we should present what we are expecting from the project, what kind of changes to be done. Thank you very much. And again, we would be grateful for your answers to our survey. Thank you, Marisol. Have a nice day.
You are welcome. Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to meet with the beneficiaries, with some of participants in the project.
Thank you very much. I think it's the first event with you, with the project coordinators, but we should repeat it. Thank you.
You are welcome. Bye. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you to everybody, to all participants. Thank you.
Thank you for you too.